What's up, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Let's Get Deep. I'm your host, Keith Allen, and today I have with me a guest that is a former law school graduate, corporate executive, recovering attorney, converted to adult entertainer. Ladies and gentlemen, give it up for the one and only Alana Nguyen. Welcome to the show.
Thank
Alana.
you for having me.
Am I saying? Oh, thank you for being a part of this. I'm saying your last name right?
Yeah, sure.
Sort of.
As long as you spell it right on my paycheck, that's fine.
You've probably gotten a bunch of different pronunciations over your time. And I met you on set. You know, true story. You were literally kicking ass as a Russian spy. And
Soviet spy, thank you.
As a Soviet spy. And I'll be honest, I didn't hear you talk other than when you're in character. So I legit thought you were Soviet and had an accent and everything. So when Felicia was like, no, that was just her character, my mind was blown. So thank you so much for being out here.
That was a great, you guys were great in that movie, you and Felicia.
Check it out on YouTube, Operation White Elephant. You literally, I watched you, I had a front row seat of you doing a high kick stomp. You looked like you kicked your face and then you stomped out someone. It's pretty badass. It was pretty cool. So let's unpack a lot. So you are now an adult entertainer. So you start. Let's go back. Let's go back to law school where it all began.
Yeah.
So you were in law school and you were in the corporate sector. And talk to me about this transition of how you decided to change and what made you change your mind and all that good stuff.
Yeah, I graduated from law school in 2008, and I actually never took the bar exam. So even though I've graduated law school, I'm not officially an attorney because you have to take the bar exam. The reason I didn't take the exam was because I had gotten a job at a startup in Silicon Valley, and I wasn't going to be practicing law there per se. I was doing legal things, but didn't need to take the bar. And for those that don't know, you don't actually learn anything that's on the bar in law school, or at least not at my law school. So you actually have to spend 3 months studying every day before you take the bar exam. It costs a lot of money to take those classes, it costs a lot of money to take the exam. That's a lot of time, and I just wanted to get to work. So I didn't take the exam at all, just went straight to work at the startup.
Fascinating. I thought you had to. I didn't to work in all that.
Well, if you want to practice law, yes, you have to take a bar exam. But like I said, I was doing legal things like biz dev and whatever. I was writing contracts. You don't need to be a bar certified lawyer for that.
Fascinating. All right, let's go. Let's walk through the transition. You got fed up, or you just what happened?
Yeah, so I worked, in the corporate world I had worked corporate before I went to law school. Worked from 2008 till 2016. Had a great job. Was making a lot of money. Had a pretty easy life, but I just wasn't fulfilled. I had kind of a creative outlet that needed something to do, and I was taking dance classes at night, and that was kind of my passion. It's just I would go to work, do my work. Didn't really care about it all, and then just was looking forward to that 7 p.m. class or whatever that I would take. And eventually I decided, okay, I'm feeling burnt out. I'm going to just quit my job, take a sabbatical for 3 months, 4 months, and then go back. And quit my job, started teaching dance classes actually, then started realizing maybe I can make a life without going back to the corporate world. So that's how I transitioned.
Right on, nice. Do you miss it?
What, the corporate world?
Yeah.
I do not.
You do not. You said that with zero hesitation.
There's things that I like I love spreadsheets. I love working with spreadsheets, and I do that in my personal life now. So that's fine.
Okay, right on. Okay, so let's talk about this transition. So you decide to full on, what does it look like? Like I don't even know, what do? Did you have connections in the industry, or did you just walk into a club one day and just and looking for a job?
I love the idea of thinking that strippers need to have a referral to get a job. So
I don't know.
I was taking pole dance classes, and I was teaching pole dance classes. So I had the tricks for doing pole work. I didn't really know a lot about what entails of being an actual stripper. I did an amateur night at one of the strip clubs in LA. This is when I was living in LA. They had an amateur night where people who are not strippers can come and perform on stage. And it was mostly people like me, people who had taken pole dance classes, who just wanted to, have a fun night where they invite their friends and they dance on stage. So I did that. I loved dancing on stage. So Then I thought, maybe I, want to do this regularly. So I went and I auditioned at a club. I did not get picked up. But then I thought I have to do this, so I went and auditioned at a different club, and they did pick me up. And
nice.
That's how I started. I did not realize that stripping is not really a dance job. So the first couple of weeks, maybe month or two that I was dancing, I wasn't really making any money because I was just showing up and dancing. I didn't realize everything else that was involved with the job.
Well, take me through that. What do you mean by that? So you were probably up there like just doing these sick ass tricks,
Yes.
and you're like, "What the hell? I just danced my ass off." And but you see other people with less skill that were probably taking home a lot more money.
Correct. So I remember one of my first shifts. I went on stage. It was early in the night. There weren't that many customers there. Did all my fancy tricks and everything. Got 0 tips, which is fine. You know, that happens early in the night. And then right after me, another lady went on stage, and some guy went up and threw $100 on her. Wow. And I was so mad. I was like, where was this guy 5 minutes ago? Like, I wish that, you know, my timing was bad. I wish I had just been 5 minutes later. I could have gotten the $100. I didn't realize that it's not about the dancing on stage. She had a relationship with him. Either it was a long-standing relationship for many months or years, or maybe they had just met that night, but she had been sitting and talking with him for the last hour. And the reason he was tipping her was not because of her dancing on stage. It was because he wanted to show his appreciation for her. And I wasn't doing any of that relationship building. I would just show up, go on stage, and then sit by myself. I wasn't working the room. I wasn't talking to people. And so that's how you actually make money, mostly on stage. Then, of course, at strip clubs, there's a whole other element of you can sell private rooms, you can sell lap dances. I wasn't doing any of that at first. I just wanted to dance on stage. But I eventually started doing that as well. And that's really how you can make money at a strip club.
Whoa. I had no idea there was all these logistics in terms of relationship building and all that. So take me through, how do you build these relationships with someone that you just, all right, random homie, first time, never seen him before. So like, what does that look like in terms of building said relationship?
Yeah.
Or even reading the customer in terms of like, some people are just there for the night. Some
right.
people, I don't know.
I've learned, I profile customers based on only 2 things. Some people profile based on age or race or, you know, how you're dressed. I don't think any of that matters. I profile based on what I see you doing with your money. So, for instance, if I see you tipping the managers, tipping the cocktail waitress a lot, then okay, this person has money and they're spending. So that's a good prospect. If you have a stack of money on the table, you're at least worth saying hello to. You might be doing it just for show, but at least it's there and maybe I could get some of it. The other thing I profile based on is your drink. So,
your drink?
Yes. A customer who has a water bottle or a Red Bull, that's the best customer because they're not there to get drunk. They're not waiting until they get drunk to have fun. They have come in, they have spent money on a water bottle or Red Bull that they could have gotten anywhere. They're there to spend money. Somebody who has no drink might also be a good prospect, or they might be they don't even want to spend $6 on a Red Bull. So they might be, that one can go 50-50. Somebody who has a cocktail, they might be there to drink and you might have to wait until they have 1 or 2 more. Same with a beer. Somebody with a pitcher of beer, I don't think they really do pitchers in New Mexico, but somebody with a pitcher of beer, that's the worst customer because they are there to drink and they are there for value. They've bought a whole pitcher and they don't care that it's going to get warm by the time they drink it. They're not there to spend money. So that's how I profile customers. And then when you approach them, you know, different dancers have different strategies. So for me, I'm a talker. I like to introduce myself. I'm very low pressure. I'm not going to be a high pressure saleswoman. I want to ask your name, get to know you. I probably won't even ask you if you want to have a dance yet if I've seen you just arrive. Okay, well, good meeting you, Keith. You know, I'll come back and check on you after you finish your drink, something like that. And that tends to get me the customers that enjoy a conversation, that enjoy somebody who has a personality. They're not just looking for the boobs or the butt or whatever that, you know, they just want immediately. Some dancers, their strategy is they just come immediately. Hey, do you want to buy a lap dance? No? Okay. And then turn away and go to the next customer. And that's a valid strategy. It doesn't even work for me because I don't have the boobs and butt that kind of tend to get that immediate impulse purchase.
I didn't know there was so much. You know what I love about it is you're very succinct and you're very fast and you're very matter of fact within all of your answers. So I appreciate that. I'm getting a lot of knowledge at once, so I'm trying to process it all.
When's the last time you went to the strip club, Keith? Your wife is here, so you don't have to.
Bachelor party for whose was it? Do you remember? I don't remember, but it was. Was it my bachelor party? What? No, I didn't go to Ben's. I don't know. It was a
Bachelor parties are good because you have friends who want to treat the bachelor. So I determine who's the bachelor, and I go talk to the friends. I say, "Oh, did you buy Keith a lap dance yet? Come on, let's go." And they want to. They want to be the one that buys the bachelor a lap dance.
I love how much strategy goes into it. Are dancers catty?
There have been some, I would say probably not more or less than at any other job that I've worked, but certainly I've had some, some frenemies at work.
Frenemies, nice. Okay, so I got so many questions for you. So I may bounce around between a bunch of things. Okay, so I think the question that most people wonder when they think about strippers is, what is the most amount of money you've made in one night?
The most I ever made was one Monday night in LA when I think I grossed over $2,000, and then after you tip out whatever, I netted I think $1,800 something.
Oh my god!
Which is but by the way,
on a Monday,
you will hear dancers saying, "Oh, I made 17,000 or whatever." I'm sure those happen as well, but for me as a middle class adult entertainer, that was a good night for me.
On a Monday, was it a themed Monday or like?
So what happened was, and dancers have a motto which is, "It only takes one." The club could be slow as heck, which it was on that Monday. One gentleman came in, and he came in. I saw him. Nobody else was available, so I sat right next to him, and I introduced myself, made some small talk. He said, "My wife filed for divorce this morning." I said, "I'm sorry to hear that." He said, "She's going to take half of my money. Let's spend some of it tonight." I said, "I'm happy to help you."
That's incredible. Okay. I love that it was a Monday of all days. And what is do you still dance?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Okay. What is the average median, like what's a decent night for you?
So like I said, I like spreadsheets. I have spreadsheets with all of my earnings throughout my entire
You keep track
career.
of everything.
Correct, yes. So in New Mexico, I've been dancing at TD's once a week, and my average at TD's is $350 per shift. And then the shift varies on hours. So generally speaking, I'm making about $60 to $70 per hour. So obviously, if you work a longer shift, you hope to make more money. If you have to go in and leave real quickly because you have something to do, you'll make less money. But it's about $60 to $70 an hour.
Can you take me through a day in your life with it, because clubs are open pretty late,
Mm-hmm.
according, I go to bed sometimes by like 10 o'clock. So can you take me through a day in the life of Alana, what it all looks like in terms of a day like that where you are dancing?
Yeah, so these days I only work day shift.
Day shift?
I've thought about trying to go back to nights, but I'm 45 years old. I like to be in bed, at a decent hour. So at TD's we open at 11 a.m. So I always get there.
11 a.m. I've never been.
I always get there shortly before 11 a.m. I like to be there when we open. Two reasons. One is the earlier you get there, the less of a house fee you have to pay. And people sometimes don't know, but dancers have to pay in order to work. So
how much is said house fee? Is it a percentage?
So if you get there before 11, you only have to pay $5 to get in. If you get there before 1, you pay $20. If you get there after 1, you pay $35.
Oh, the customer.
No, me, the dancer. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
It goes up to $45. So if you want to arrive at midnight, then you have to pay a larger amount to just get into the club.
Oh, fascinating.
So for me, at the end of the day, if you've made $500, what's the difference between, 5 or 20 or 35? It's not a big deal. But for me mentally, when I start the day and I've just paid $35 and now I'm sitting there negative $35, it makes me a little bit stressed and a little anxious. And when I approach the customer, I have a little more of that desperation, which I don't think is good for business. So I get there early. So $5, that's fine. I'm just, kiss that goodbye. I'm just relaxing. Whatever happens, happens.
Just chilling.
Yeah.
What do you ever, I don't know if this is a dumb question, you ever have a shift where nobody shows up?
Yes.
No way.
Well, I mean, not nobody, but when I worked in LA, in New Mexico, it's different because in Albuquerque, we don't have a lot of strip clubs. So TD's always has somebody when I go on Friday. In LA, a lot of those Monday shifts that I work, there would be nobody for hours. And, that you just have to take what you get.
Is there, I'm just trying to process all my questions. I have so many questions. Okay. At TD's,
yes.
My first question is, how is the $12 steak and lobster?
It is, well, I'm vegan, so I've never had it.
Okay.
But what I always tell customers when they come in on Friday, I said, "Are you coming in for the steak and lobster?" That's a good indicator of they're not ready to spend money if they are yet, if they say yes. But I always say people love it. What are you going to get for $12? You can't really complain, even if you don't have the best steak or the best lobster.
Steak and lobster for $12. Shout out to TD's for your $12.
So a lot of people
lobster.
do come in early. So I get there at 11. A lot of people do come in early because they're coming for lunch. And some people come in on their lunch hour, and maybe I'll ask them if they want an appetizer or a dessert to go along with their steak and lobster.
So there is food.
There's food.
There's food. Alcoholic drink, right?
Yes.
Not BYOB. No.
Correct. No,
Okay.
I think Fantasy World is BYOB because they don't serve alcohol there, and they're full nude. So I think in New Mexico you're not allowed to serve alcohol. If you're
are you
full
guys
nude.
not full nude?
We're just topless. Yes.
Just topless.
Yes.
Okay. Is there beef with other clubs? Like, did Knockouts close? I don't even know. I know they were like about to.
When I moved to Albuquerque, literally the movers who were moving my furniture in, they asked what I did for a living. I said, I'm a stripper. They said, you should go to TD's. Knockouts is not for you. That's what they told me. And I've never been to Knockouts, so
Oh wow.
I can't really speak on it personally, but that was what I was told.
Okay, fascinating. I used to be an Uber driver, so I'd always drop off people at their discreet entrance, and I just thought, wow, only place in town that got a discreet entrance. I'm gonna bounce around between questions. Is your family aware of what you do, and how do they feel?
Yeah, my family. I'm fortunate that I have family and friends who all know, so I don't have to sneak around or hide things. This would not be a good look if I was trying to hide myself. And yes, everybody's aware of it. I'm sure my mother didn't think it was like her favorite thing when I told her I was starting to strip, but she supports me, so I love that.
Right on. And dating life. What is dating life? You said you've been doing this since 2016. I don't know. You got a current partner? How long you've been with current partner?
Yeah.
So what does the dating life look like in the stripping game for
Yeah,
you?
dating was interesting because I know people would have preconceptions of somebody being a stripper, so usually I wouldn't say that on my dating profiles. I would wait until I met them on the first date, let them see that I'm a normal person, that I can hold a conversation, I'm intelligent, and then I would let them know what I did for a living. Mixed results. Some, just couldn't handle it. Some would then put you in the box of, oh, she's just a fun gal. She's not a, date him for long term. I'm fortunate that I have a partner now who I've been with for 2 years. I told him again on the first date. He was totally cool with it, and he is totally cool with it. So that works. But I understand the plight of a partner of somebody who's an adult entertainer. You have to be very confident in yourself. You have to be very strong to not get jealous or to not, have second thoughts or things like that.
Have you always had that confidence and that knowledge of, comparing yourself to other people? And like, have you always, or did it take a while to build up that sort of confidence?
Yeah, absolutely not. I think if I had tried to be a stripper in my 20s or even my early 30s, I don't know that I could have handled it. You get a lot of rejection. You get a lot of crude comments. You get, people that are just treating you as an object, and you have to have a strong sense of self so that you can brush aside those things, but then also know where your boundaries are and stick to them. I see a lot of young gals who are dancing who, they'll say, oh, I'll do this, but I won't do this. And then when the customer with money comes and says, can you do this? And it's like, oh, well, yeah, he asked and he was so nice. It's like, no, you have your boundary. You should stick to your boundary.
Wow. I like that. Okay. How do you handle inappropriate behavior? Or what is something, has anyone said anything or done anything quite inappropriate? What are the do's and don'ts of going to the club for people that don't know?
Well, okay, those are kind of two different questions. Inappropriate, yes. I've been assaulted multiple times, unfortunately.
Oh, sure.
That's not okay at all. I am always tipping the bouncers very well wherever I work so that I know that they'll have my back. And any times that something has happened, I'll go and get a bouncer and say, that guy did X, Y, Z, and they'll kick him out. On occasion, they've asked me, do you also want us to go to the back and F him up? And I've always said no, because it's not worth it for my bouncer friend to mess up his hands doing something like that. And B, I don't want to risk that maybe that guy then has a vendetta, comes back to the club angry, whatever. Usually they're drunk and they're not knowing what they're doing anyway. And hopefully getting kicked out will teach them enough a lesson. Something that's like minor, like somebody bites me or somebody
bites you.
Yeah, I've had, yes.
Oh my, ouch.
I'll just slap them in the face. And that's usually enough to wake them up and realize, okay, that's not okay. Yeah, I've had all the, well, I've never had anybody bleed on me. I've had pee, cum, vomit, tears, sweat. I've had all the liquids on me.
No way. Oh, what do you do when something like that happens?
It depends on the situation, right? If somebody's just very drunk and they just pee on themselves, usually I'll just excuse myself, get my money, and then excuse myself, tell the bouncer, like, I think that person has been overserved.
Oh my gosh. And so what is okay and what is not okay within a club? Because some places say you can touch.
Yes, right. I always tell customers when I take them back to give a lap dance, I'll say, here are my rules. I'm like, you can't touch me here. You can touch me here. You can touch me here. Every lady is different. So if you get a lap dance from someone else here, please make sure you understand what her boundaries are before you have a lap dance. I don't say it in such a formal way, but
that was quite formal.
But yeah, I would say, it's going to depend on the lady that you're working with. So you should always check verbally. And that goes for real life too. If you're on a date with a woman, and you can check, is it okay if I do this or that, right?
And how do they receive that? Most men are usually
there are
most
some
people.
There are some where it's octopus and you're playing goalie, and with those usually if it becomes to the point where I feel like I can't effectively goal keep, I will just stop the transaction, get my money, and tell them have a good night. But most of them, it's like they'll get the hint.
Wow. Okay. Do you focus primarily on one, like, all right, I'm only going to do dances in the back, or I'm only going to do dances on the floor? Or you just do a little bit of everything? Like, what do you have a strategy?
Yeah, so at TD's, the floor dances cost the same as dances in the back. So I always tell people I would prefer to take you to the back. You're going to get a better experience there, only because I have long legs and I need the room of the couch. If I try to give a lap dance in a chair that's on the floor, it's going to be legs everywhere. So, but sometimes, for instance, in a bachelor party, they might want to watch the bachelor get a dance, in which case they prefer the floor dance, even though it costs the same as the back. So I'm happy to oblige for that.
Is it as long duration-wise?
Yeah, it's songs. The dances are sold by song, and then at TD's they also have private champagne rooms where you can book for 30 minutes or an hour. I don't tend to push those because my take home from those, it's a lower percentage than my take home from the single dances. So if you have $500 to spend, I'll get more of it if you just buy single dances than if you buy a 30-minute room or an hour room.
Oh, is it rude to sit at the stage and not be tipping whoever's
Thank
dancing?
you for bringing that up. If you're sitting right at the stage, in other words, you can touch the stage with your hand, you should be tipping at least a couple dollars for every lady who comes up, even if you don't care for her or you don't like her dancing. If you want to just look, you can just sit anywhere else in the club and you can look for free.
Ah, okay. Okay. Is it dangerous?
It is. Like I said, I've been assaulted multiple times, but I also feel like I have great protection in the bouncers. The clubs that I've worked at have generally been run such that there is very good security. Customers are wanded before they come in, so they don't have firearms or things like that. You can always, of course, get assaulted just hand to hand, but when something happens, security is right there to help you.
What about in terms of like exposure to perhaps substances or sex trafficking or anything like that? Of some of these topics that are mentioned in movies and on TV, like
I've definitely seen my share of cocaine and things like that inside the club. I would say it's probably no more or less than what you would see at a law firm. So
wow, fascinating. Okay. I just love how matter of fact you are. Okay, let's see. Let me go down my list. Felicia's got a question. How much are lap dances?
At TD's, it's $25 per song, of which I keep 18 and they keep 7.
Per song?
Yes.
Wow.
And the songs are, the BPMs are pretty high, and they tend to cut them off after 3 minutes, 3.5 minutes.
Oh, so ain't no $25 for Freebird.
Yeah, you can't be requesting November Rain or Freebird expecting to get something.
Okay. What advice would you give to anyone considering adult entertainment, being a dancer, all of that good stuff?
Yeah, I would say, well, depending on your age. If you're young, I would really strongly suggest you think hard about this because you are not going to be able to erase that from your work history, from your personal history. Once you enter that world, that's something that might stay with you forever. And especially if you're wanting to get a job at, a bank or something like that, and they find out that might be affecting your future job prospects. For me, like I said, I'm 45. I don't ever expect to go back into the corporate world. I'm okay with that. But that's something to consider, is how the stigma of doing adult entertainment might affect you in the future. I do think that in some years, we're going to be in a place where there are going to be people running for Congress who have openly had OnlyFans in the past, things like that, and it's going to be fine. I hope that our society moves towards that direction. But for now, that's not where we are. So you have to think carefully about that. Think about your family and friends and who would know. If you are going to need to keep that a secret from certain family members or friends, that's going to be a big burden for you emotionally. So consider whether that would be worth it.
When you first started, did you find yourself doing that dance of trying to keep it under wraps and not let anybody know?
No, the only people I try to keep under wraps with would be my neighbors. So I always dress very casually when I go to and from the strip club. I'm just in sweatpants or something like that, so that they think I'm going to the gym, or they think I'm working as a nurse, something like that, just because I don't want to get robbed, coming in and out of my car. Other than that, I don't really care about anybody who knows, so I didn't try to keep it secret.
Is that a thing? Going to and from the club, do dancers get robbed?
I always request a walkout from the bouncer to take me to my car when I leave the club, because I have a bunch of cash in my bag, so that's an easy target.
Whoa, dang! I had no idea.
And by the way, most TDs, they will walk out dancers, so don't think you can hang out in the TD's parking lot and get some easy cash. No, it's not gonna happen.
Are you ever worried? Albuquerque is a little small town. Are you worried about running into, or have you run into people that you know at the club, and how does that play out?
I have run into some customers who I know from TDs out in the wild, and usually it depends on, sometimes I'll go up and just say hello, and especially if they're with somebody, I obviously won't say, hey, I'm that stripper from TDs, because maybe that's their wife and they don't know that they go to TDs. So usually I just kind of say a friendly hello, and usually they don't want to engage too much anyway.
You mentioned the stigma that comes with being a stripper, being an adult entertainer. What would it take to, you mentioned this future where we do possibly have people openly rocking that title. What do you think it would take to get rid of said stigma?
I'm not sure. I have hope that this younger generation, they are a lot more open-minded in terms of a lot of things about sexuality, in terms of, sexual orientation, trans rights, things like that. I've noticed that younger people, they're just much more fluid about yeah, sure, maybe I'm bi today or I'm not. And that, things around sex don't really seem to affect them the same way. Some of us in the older generation, it's oh, that's very taboo. So I'm hoping that maybe just once they come up, that things will be more open. I think working in the adult world, working with sex as your product, it's just the same as any other job, but our country is just very prudish about that. So I don't know exactly what it would take to change that, but I'm hopeful that things will change.
We have made a lot of progress, but there's a long way to go.
Yeah.
I mean, we're way further than we were 10, 15 years ago. So are you spiritual?
I'm not.
You are not. Some people would say you are going to hell for what you do. How do you feel about that?
For the people that clutch their pearls about I'm selling my body, I always respond to them saying, guess what? We're all selling our bodies. Are you telling me that a construction worker or a firefighter is not selling their body? Do you know how many fingers are lost every day in meatpacking plants? You're telling me those people aren't selling their bodies? I met a gentleman at TD's last week who's a radiologist, and he was telling me that he has a very repetitive motion that he does to wheel the patients in and out of the CAT scan machine. And it's very heavy, and he's having repetitive stress injuries on his body from doing that work. He's a radiologist. So, all of us, we're all selling our bodies. It sounds to me like maybe what you have a problem with is capitalism, which is fair. But, like I said, if your product is sex versus gambling or alcohol or, financial management or cookies, it's all the same.
Wow.
To me.
I like that. Okay. Okay, let me revert back to this list and make sure. Okay, we got that. Check. All right. let's talk about, you also do, actually one of your main jobs right now is you have an OnlyFans account.
Yes.
You started one in 2020?
Correct. Yeah.
Let's talk about it. How did that get started?
So in 2020, you may remember there was this pandemic. Everything closed down, including strip clubs. So I was left kind of with nothing to do. I had been working full-time as a dancer at that time. Full-time, quote unquote. I was dancing 3 or 4 nights per week and making my full income from that.
Okay.
So then when the clubs shut down, that zeroed out. Luckily, during the pandemic, I was collecting unemployment. I got those COVID checks, so that helped keep me afloat. But I thought I need some other income stream, and so I decided to start an OnlyFans page. And 2020, that was kind of early on when it was just starting to bubble up, and there wasn't a ton of activity on OnlyFans. I got pretty lucky getting in early, I think. My first year of OnlyFans, I averaged about $2,000 per month net. Net before taxes. And yes, I pay taxes. That wasn't enough to sustain myself, but like I said, with the COVID checks and the unemployment, it was good. I was able to stick with it. And then by my second year, then I started averaging just under $5,000 per month. So now I'm making my living from this. This is great.
Oh, what?
And then, so that's how I transitioned.
I got some questions that I don't want to forget. Okay, wait a minute. Taxes. Okay, cool. We'll get back to all that. Wow. So
and now I've started dancing. So about maybe a year and a half ago, 2 years ago, I started dancing at TD's once a week, just because I wanted to diversify my income streams. Because OnlyFans will go up and down just like anything. So now at least I know once a week I'll have TD's income on top of my OnlyFans.
Plus the steak and lobster. How does OnlyFans work? I got out of the game. We've been married for a while and we've been together for a while. So I got out of the game pre-OnlyFans, before you even existed.
Right.
So how does it work in terms of, let's start off with, I don't know any terminology, so I'm just going to throw some stuff out there, like a broadcast. Like, you log on. Is there already people waiting for you? Are there 0 people in the room or whatever? What does it look like? Do you got to wait around for people? Or as soon as you hit record, the action starts?
Right.
How's it all look?
So me personally, I don't do any live broadcasts. Some creators do. I don't. For me, that's just I like to have my personal time, and I don't like the idea of people watching me live. That's just me.
Oh, okay.
So I have 2 pages. So I have one page, which is a subscription page. It's basically a glorified Instagram feed. Think of it that way.
Okay.
Except that you can be fully nude. So I post every day. I post 5 photos every day. I post 1 short video every week. I post a game every week. And in order to access that content, you can't just subscribe to me like you would on Instagram. You have to pay $9 a month for that, and you get all that content that I post every day. Plus, you can look at all the old stuff that I posted months and years before. Whoa, so that's $9 per month, a subscription. A lot of people come for one month. They just wanted to see. They were curious, and then they unsubscribe. But then they'll maybe come back a few months later when they want to see, what have I done the last few months? And then they'll unsubscribe again. Others have been with me for 4 years, and they've just subscribed every month. That's just their automatic subscription.
It's like a Patreon.
Yes, exactly. Yes.
Wow.
And then I have a second page, which is free to subscribe. But once you subscribe there, you can't see anything. Everything is locked, and all you can see is a description. And it says, do you want this 9-minute video of me doing X, Y, and Z with my feet? You pay $50. You can just unlock that one video, and then you have it forever.
Oh, what? Okay. I honestly thought it was all live. I had no idea. Okay.
Some creators do live streams, and usually what they'll require is that maybe you tip in order to join the live stream, and then they'll do things like, hey, do you want me to do X? If so, I need $100 of tips, and then the fans will tip enough for them to do that thing live.
What is there pre-production that goes into it? Do you know what you're doing when you? Obviously, I guess since you're not going live. What you're doing in these videos, right? Like, what do you have like a brainstorm sesh, like Mr. Beast, like has a whole day where he bust out sketches?
I wish I could go as viral as Mr. Beast. Yeah, I'm very meticulous with how I run my business. I run it like a business, which it is. So I shoot once per week, and that's enough content to last me for a week. I'm usually shooting 4 weeks in advance. So
4 weeks in advance.
Yeah, because just in case, for instance, I tear my meniscus, which I did a couple of months ago. I'm not going to be able to shoot for a couple of weeks. I have enough backup to keep me going so nobody ever notices. I'm still going to have daily content every day. And I plan my shoots, the photos sets, I'll do different outfits. I do 2 feet focused photo sets per week. I do 2 nylon focused per week. And then I try to mix in some high heels, some other things that people have specific fetishes for, so that everybody gets a little bit of what they want. For the videos, usually I'll just brainstorm ideas for either role plays, or I'll do like naked magic tricks, things like that. And just
tricks. Oh my gosh. What do you do? Like, do you have a specialty, or do you just do a little bit of everything? Or
I would say I'm not. There are some people that are very, very specialized. I'm not like that. Like I said, I have a little bit of a broad fan base of feet and nylon fetish and things like that. But I tend to lean towards kind of nerdy, quirky content. So like I said, the naked magic tricks or role plays where I'm playing a teacher or something like that. Something that plays to my strength of being a talker and having a personality and doing that versus my, some women have a strength of they have those super long nipples or something. And that's something that's very attention grabbing and that people really like, then they can play on that as their niche.
Did you know going into it that you were going to do feet stuff, or was that kind of like requested over time?
No, I went into it just kind of doing what I felt natural with, and
dancing.
I do a lot of striptease dances, things like that.
Okay.
One of my customers requested some feet pics, and he agreed to pay extra money for those. So I said, okay, I'll do them. And he said, wow, your feet are great. I was like, really? So then I started doing feet content, and feet content is very lucrative because those with foot fetishes, they're willing to pay for specific things that they want.
Like what's an example? Actually, I've written down what's your weirdest request, or what's the strangest request?
Well, maybe not the weirdest request, but I had a gentleman once who really wanted to see me squash a loaf of bread with my feet. So for $200, I bought
$200.
I bought a loaf of bread at Smith's, and I squashed it. Did a minute and a half video of that, and now I have that on my store page, and a couple of people have also bought it. So not for $200, but for.
Okay, as a producer, and as a cinematographer, I can't help but wonder, like, did you step on said loaf, watch the playback, and be like, that's not good enough, and like, you got another loaf, or was it like a one-take wonder thing?
I had only bought one loaf, so I really only had one shot at doing it. But I did set up the shot and not step on it, but like step next to it, just to make sure that my angles were right, etc., before I did the take.
Oh my goodness. And what all else do you do in terms of stuff? Do you take requests, or like do people comment? What does it all look like?
So in the beginning, I took a lot of custom requests because that was a good way to generate revenue, because you could charge $50, $100, $200 for something specialized. So I did a lot of that, and then that content, I would bank it, and now I'm able to sell that on my store just in case anybody else wants that bread loaf video.
Store.
You can, that's my other page where you can unlock content a la carte. So
a la carte. Nice.
So I did that a lot in the beginning, but now that I have I have a library of so much content, I don't really do a lot of custom requests anymore unless I think it's something that I could also resell to other people down the road. It's just not worth my time anymore.
And you do this, you said 4 weeks in advance.
Yeah, I only shoot 1 day per week, and that's enough to last a full week of content. That way, once I set my lights up, set everything up, do my makeup, then it's more efficient to do it that way rather than trying to shoot content every day.
You must have a huge closet with a lot of clothes and shoes, and
I have one chest of drawers that is only for my OnlyFans clothing, but I mean it's mostly lingerie, so it doesn't take up a lot of space.
You've been doing
I
this?
do have a lot of shoes, most of which have been bought for me by fans. So
they buy them for you.
I don't really buy shoes. Yeah.
What? Would you give any? Okay, we'll go back to the advice question. Would you have any advice for someone trying to possibly experiment with OnlyFans or do feet stuff or anything like that?
Yeah. I've given advice to a lot of people who come to me saying I'd like to get into this. The first thing I always tell them is it's a lot more work than you probably think. It's not let me snap a picture of my boobs and then money rolls in. I told you I shoot once per week. Making the content is only about 20% of the job. The rest of it is promotion, administrative, relationship building, retention, things like that. So you got to be prepared to have a desk job at a laptop, because that's what your job is going to be if you're doing OnlyFans.
Whoa.
And you might not think that. You might think, oh, it's fun. I like being sexy. I'll just do stuff. No, most of the job is not doing that stuff. Most of it is computer work.
I had no idea. Okay. So, oh my God, I have so many questions. Okay, so let's go back to some people. Some people would consider you a porn star. What do you say to that?
First of all, I'm not a star. I would say porn actress, perhaps. And I don't do hardcore stuff, which there's nothing wrong with that. That's just not what I choose to do. And by hardcore, I mean, well, in porn, there's different, terminology that people use. I wouldn't consider what I do porn per se because I don't do, say, intercourse or, blowjobs, things like that. Everything I do is just me. Either I'm dancing or I'm doing a magic trick. I'm naked. So, yes, it is nude content, but I'm not doing, sex tapes, things like that.
Can you just take me through a magic trick? I don't know what you mean by magic trick.
Just so I have like a trick deck, so I could do like
card
a little card trick. I just happen to be naked.
Naked card tricks.
And
okay.
then, as with any magician, right? It's more about your performance than it is about the actual trick. I would say I'm a very poor magician. Like everything I've done is poorly done, but because I'm naked and because I have jokes and I'm talking while I do it, that's the appeal of it.
When you first started, did you find it hard to gain traction of finding people, and how do you find people?
Yeah. So what a lot of people don't know is you can't just open an OnlyFans page and expect anything to happen. Nothing will happen. Nobody will know your OnlyFans page exists. Literally, you can't even go to OnlyFans and say, "Oh, I'm searching for a redhead who has big feet." Nothing will come up. There's no search functionality on OnlyFans. The only way that you will know of that redheaded creator who has big feet is if she promotes her link out to you.
Does that cost money?
So I do just all social media, which is free. It costs a lot of time. So every day I make at least 10 posts on Reddit. I do at least one reel on Instagram. I post on the Chive, also on Threads and X and other platforms.
What?
But you have to be constantly putting yourself out there to get new customers into the pipeline because you're constantly losing customers that are canceling their subscription.
Whoa.
So every day it's promotion, yes.
I had I had no idea.
There are people who also pay for promotion. So, say if there's a very large creator, she might charge you $200 to put an ad on her page. I've done that once and it didn't net me anything, so I don't do that anymore.
I don't know if this is a dumb question, but on Reddit and on the Chive and all that, what do you post?
Yeah, so on Reddit and on Twitter, X, you can post anything. There's no rules about explicit content. You can post a penis going into a vagina right there. That's fine. Me personally, I've chosen that all of my nude content is going to be behind the paywall in OnlyFans. So what I post on Reddit is lingerie or bikinis, things like that. Same with on the Chive, they don't actually allow nudity, but same kind of content. That's just me. I know I probably might get more attention if I post nudity on those places. I just choose not to do that.
So wait. So with said post, is there a call to action or something? Check out my page or OnlyFans.
Most social media. So on Reddit, like I said, you can post explicit stuff, but most of the subreddits don't allow you to explicitly sell. So you couldn't post a picture and say, hey, I'm having a sale on my OnlyFans. They wouldn't allow you in that subreddit. Say if it's a subreddit for armpit fetish, right? You couldn't say, I'm having a sale.
Armpit fetish?
Oh, yes. I'm having a sale on my OnlyFans. Here's my picture. You can't. What you have to do is just put the picture, hey, do you like my armpit? And then if people like it enough, they will click over to your profile, and then that's when you promote your OnlyFans link.
Have you done armpit fetish stuff?
Yes.
Did you ever think you were going to be going into it? Did you think you were going to do armpit stuff?
I had a customer at one of my clubs in LA who had an armpit fetish, so I was aware that existed, and so that was a natural transition when I went to OnlyFans.
What is I guess I don't know. I don't know what an armpit fetish consists of. Do they look at it? Do they touch it?
He would pay for lap dances, and instead of me giving a lap dance, he would just sniff my armpit.
Sniff? Oh, yeah. Wow. Yeah. Okay. Wow. I am learning so much today.
But so yeah, on Reddit, normally you have to be kind of you just promote yourself, and then you hope that they'll come to your profile, and that's where they see you promote your OnlyFans. On places like Instagram, obviously you can't have any nudity on Instagram, and you also can't mention OnlyFans or you'll get shut down. So what you have to do is just have a cute video of you, say, in a bikini or something like that. If they're interested enough, they'll come to your profile. There I have my website. If you click on my website, it goes to a landing page where it says, here's the ways you can find me, including OnlyFans. You have to kind of bury it, otherwise you'll run afoul of Instagram's rules.
Wow. Let's talk about money.
Yeah.
What do you average? What's a good week? What's a bad week? You know what I mean?
Yeah, so for OnlyFans, like I said, when I first started, I was not making much. Then I got up to kind of a little bit below $5,000 a month. My next year, I was a little above $5,000 a month. So I kind of thought, okay, $5,000 is my range.
Okay.
Last year, I was averaging $4,200 per month. Things have gone down for me for a variety of reasons. Part of it is that I'm spending less time on OnlyFans and more time on other stuff. Part of it is situational. Like I had a TikTok account that was getting me a lot of subscribers, and that one got shut down. So I lost that stream of revenue. I had some violations on my Instagram account that took a month or two to clear up, so that lost me some revenue. Reddit changed their algorithm so that not safe for work content doesn't get as much traction anymore, so that has lost me revenue.
Whoa.
And also the market has become more saturated now, so there's a lot more creators, there's a lot more choices that you have of who to subscribe to.
So how do you keep up in terms of content?
Yeah, so I mean, I've kind of made a choice that I'm going to, at this point in my OnlyFans, it's mature enough that I have a ton of content, and I'm not going to try to break my back to make 50 Reddit posts per day instead of 10 so that I can try to keep up with the diminishing returns. I'm just sticking with my 10, and my revenue is going down. Maybe I'll get lucky and I'll have a viral post here or there on Instagram, and that'll give me a boost, but I have other things that I'm concentrating on now anyway, so I figure I'll just keep the OnlyFans alive because it's still contributing a lot of my income per month. But a lot of the ladies who I know who are creators, they're working harder and harder just to get less and less money, and so I choose to just work the same and accept the less money.
How do you concept things? Like, how do you keep it? You've been doing this since 2000,
Yes.
2020. How do you keep it fresh? Like, do you have like a brainstorm session like Mr. Beast?
Yeah.
Or like, all right, maybe I could do this, or let's throw in some peanut butter or something. Like,
I do. Sometimes I just have random ideas, and I have a spreadsheet where I keep my ideas, so I'll just throw that on. Sometimes fans will suggest things. Those are always great. Sometimes I'll ask fans for suggestions, and those help. Recently, as you know, I do some vanilla acting as well. When I have an audition where there's a character that's very interesting, sometimes I'll take that and I'll turn that into a nude video. So obviously I'm not using their copyrighted material, but I did an audition recently for a very strict teacher, and I thought, I haven't done a teacher video in a while, so then I did a strict teacher OnlyFans video.
Is there certain things that are off the table for you, or is it all what ifs?
Yes, like I said, I don't really do explicit content. Like I don't do, partner content, things like that. That's just not what I'm into. There's nothing wrong with doing that. It's just not what I choose to do. The foot guys a lot of times will request things like stepping on bugs or stepping on snails, and I don't want to do that. A, I don't want to kill another animal, but B, it's just gross to me. A lot of the foot guys will also ask for dirty stuff, like can you go walk outside in the mud and then show me your feet, and I just don't like doing that. It's not to my liking, so there's nothing wrong with that again. But
then you got to clean up the house. You got to pay extra for that,
Okay.
That's okay. Let's see. Okay, so I'm just gonna bounce around between a bunch of different questions between dancing and OnlyFans. Take me through dancing coming out of the pandemic. Mm-hmm. What did that look like? How was that weird? Did you have to wear a mask? What up with that?
Yeah, so I had moved to New Mexico during the pandemic. I got out of LA, and I hadn't been dancing. All the clubs were closed nationwide, right, for a while. When the clubs opened back up, I was here, and I decided to go do a shift at TD's. This was 2021 when they had just said if you got your vaccines you could take your mask off, right? So I went to the club and I was planning to wear my mask, and then nobody was wearing a mask, so I thought I feel stupid, took my mask off, caught COVID that very first night.
Oh no!
And that knocked me out for a while. Nowadays, then it kind of slowly, and at that time I was still doing OnlyFans full time, obviously, so I thought maybe that's my sign that I shouldn't be dancing anymore. But then maybe a year later, I decided to try again and didn't get sick. So by then, things were kind of back in full swing. Yeah.
Okay. What do you view going to the club? Not you, but for someone going to the club. This question. Shout out to my wife. Do you view someone that goes to the club as cheating?
That's between them and their partner. I have a lot of couples who come to the club, which is always fun. Whenever I see a couple, if it's a heterosexual couple at the club, I'll always approach the woman first, talk to her, and make sure she's comfortable and see what she wants, and then, so that she doesn't feel like I'm trying to steal her man, something like that. Usually, if it's a heterosexual couple at the club, either the woman is really into it and she likes the idea of her husband getting a lap dance from another woman, or she's very insecure and protective, in which case then I don't want to deal with them.
And you just kind of read the room.
So I suss it out by talking with the woman first. There are some, the last week at TD's actually, I met a gentleman who his wife had dropped him off there as she was on her way to the casino.
Oh my goodness.
And he's like, I'm going to go have fun here. She's like, I'm taking the money. I'm going to go have fun at the casino. That's great. There are gentlemen who, I met one recently who his wife has placed a tracker in his car. So he leaves his car at the job and his friend drives him to TD's, so obviously.
Shout out to that guy.
Obviously in their relationship, she's not okay with him going to TD's. That's not my business. I'm there to work, and he was there to spare money. So, I gladly helped him with that.
Okay. Let's talk about taxes. How does taxes work in a primarily cash zone?
Yeah, so different people will tell you different things. As an American citizen, we all owe taxes on everything we earn, right? Obviously, if you're in a cash business, it's a lot harder for the IRS to track to know exactly how much you've made. I am out there on the internet with printing spreadsheets of how much I've made. So I really can't hide. People will sometimes comment, "Oh, stupid move. Now the IRS is going to get you." Well, guess what? I pay the IRS my money. So,
Wow.
But yeah, as a stripper, you would normally track your earnings and then pay that to the IRS. I'm sure a lot of people, underestimate what they make.
And OnlyFans, it's automatic, right?
On OnlyFans, you're a 1099, freelancer, so to speak. So at the end of the year, they will send you documentation of how much you made.
Okay. Sorry, I'm looking down at my notes. I have so many. Okay. So in terms of filming, what does that look like? Filming OnlyFans. You got like a crew, or it's by yourself? You do all the production yourself?
I do.
Post-production, all that stuff?
I do everything, pre-production, post-production, everything myself. I have lighting equipment and backdrops and things like that at home. I have microphones in case I'm needing to do, audio work.
Audio?
Yeah. Like if I'm doing a role play video, I want to make sure that my voice is clear for me telling you that, I'm a strict teacher and no cell phones, no erections, no in this class,
No erections. Oh my goodness. ASMR?
I don't do any ASMR, but
No? Okay.
that is something that some people will do. But I film everything mostly in my home. Every once in a while I'll have a hotel room or something like that, but mostly I film everything in my home. The big challenge is just keeping my cat and my dog away while I'm filming.
Do they ever come around?
They wander in sometimes at the cut, or a lot of times, the dog starts barking, hold for sound. Okay.
How does OnlyFans work in terms of schedule? You film one day and then do you do laptop stuff for the next 2 or 4 days?
So I'm very I like to keep my life scheduled and disciplined and things like that. So not everybody would run their page like this, but like I said, I film on one day just because it's efficient to get everything set up, get all that done, and then every day I have a schedule of in the morning I do X, Y, and Z, and then in the afternoon I do this, and then in the evening I did it. So every day I have to edit content that is part of my content that's going to be posted. You can future post that on OnlyFans. I do my promotions on all the social media that we talked about. That's very time consuming. I do retention. My retention effort is that every month, if you continue to subscribe, I'll send you a bonus video that you can have, a full-length video. So every day I have to check to see, okay, whose subscriptions were up for renewal, who actually renewed, who canceled, and then I can send the people their monthly treat if they did renew. So that's a manual process. Unfortunately, there's no automatic way to do that on the OnlyFans
Soon.
platform.
Right. With AI,
right.
With AI, it's just a matter of time.
And then daily, you're just responding to messages. So if you subscribe to my OnlyFans, that's the only way you can message me. I have direct messages turned off on every social platform. So the only way to talk to me is if you subscribe. And so once people do subscribe, I do feel like I owe them replies every day. So I do my messages.
This is probably a dumb question. Why do you turn off your DMs? Because that may be an opportunity for more traction, more engagement, and more.
It might be, but it's mostly a time waste.
Okay.
If you really want to talk to me and you don't have $9 to spend, then sorry.
Copy that. What's your biggest moneymaker, would you say?
On OnlyFans, I have one video that's a Joy video. Do you know what Joy is? Joi? Jerk off instructions. So I have a jerk off instruction video. That's my all-time biggest grossing. I think it's grossed over $7,000 at this point.
$7,000.
Yeah. So that one is just available in my store that you can buy. So I have some occasional videos like that. I also offer dick credit reports that I sell.
Wait, what do you mean? What does that mean?
So, are you familiar with the dick rating? That's a popular OnlyFans thing, which is.
They'll send you their dick and you A+.
Correct.
B-.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
So that's a popular thing because, and this is, OnlyFans is mostly men, with female creators. Men love to show their dick. And more so than just randomly showing it to the internet, they like to know that a specific lady has opened the picture and looked at it. And so the dick rating is a popular OnlyFans offering where, say for $10, $5, whatever it is, you can send your picture, the lady will look at it, and she'll give a rating, either a number rating or like a sentence or whatever.
They will pay.
Yes.
For you to evaluate
Correct.
their penis.
That's what they're getting off on, is knowing that you have looked at it.
Do you do it honestly, or do you maybe if
So
I give them a B+, they'll give me more money?
I offer a dick credit report, which is kind of my quirky take on it, which is you send me the picture and I'll write up a report in the style of like a credit report. So I give you your score, but then I also tell you, okay, this is increasing your credit line for oral transactions. This is you could improve your credit by doing this or that. And I'll let you in on a secret. Everybody gets the same rating. And I just adjust slightly the wording of, to match what the picture that you've sent me. Unless you're looking for SPH, small penis humiliation, in which case then I will give you the appropriate low rating because that's what you're looking for.
People are actively looking for that?
Yes, so there's a fetish called SPH, small penis humiliation.
Stop.
And they want you to humiliate them based on the size of their penis. And by the way, the sizes are all ranges that are within this fetish. Some, that other people would consider above average or below average, whatever. But they just like the mean content of you saying how small they are.
Oh, I had no idea. I find myself saying that a lot throughout this interview.
I think I get that a lot because, one, I have big feet. SPH often goes along with foot fetish. And so a lot of times those guys like big feet because then they can think, oh, we're comparing my small penis to your big foot. So I get a lot of the SPH guys on my page for that reason. But also because I'm a talker and I like to do quirky things. So I have the personality to be able to really come up with a great mean paragraph to tell you about.
So you've seen a lot of penises in your life.
Yes, I've grossed over $3,000 from doing those dick credit reports.
Oh, wow. Okay. Dick credit report.
My laptop is full of penises from around the world.
Are there Fs in there? Are there not A's, B's?
Only for the SPH.
Oh, wow.
Gentlemen.
Okay.
Yes.
What would you... Oh my gosh, I feel like I could just have this interview forever. Because there's just so many questions. Okay. I got a good one. Some people have inquired, so I put it out there. I'm interviewing someone that's in adult entertainment. We have been a dancer at times. One question that was reoccurring was, what do you do when you're on your period? Mm-hmm. You got a lot of, or not a lot to cover anything up. So
right.
How's that all work out? Did you take that day off or what?
Me personally, I haven't had a period since 2008 or so.
Oh
That's because I take my birth control continuously. So that's just
okay.
my personal choice. I had made that personal choice long before I was an adult entertainer. It just happens to work well with my job. But for the ladies that do have periods, I know for dancers, they'll often use a tampon and just snip the string so that you don't see anything. And then it's just, it's a slight danger that you might get lost in there, but you can still extract it afterwards.
Oh my.
And for doing content, it's like you just have to be a little more creative. If you were going to shoot on that day and now you're bleeding, now you can't show period blood on OnlyFans. That's against terms.
Oh.
Which is...
I thought it would be like a whole subgenre in itself.
It would be. I'm sure there are people that want that. For whatever reason, they have determined that's against terms of service, so you can't show your period blood on that. So you would have to be creative about doing content that doesn't show that part of your body or something else,
Isn't it fascinating where they decide to draw the line? And you might as well just, I don't know.
Yes, again, it's a little bit prudish. I can understand. My line is consenting human adults. If you're not hurting anybody else, and you're an adult, and you're human, and you're consenting, it's all good to me. Other stuff, animals, hurting people, I'm not okay with that. But if you want to do something that other people would consider bizarre, but you're consenting human adults, go for it,
Right on. Okay. Let's see. Can we? I found a picture on your IMDb. You're an actress too. Can you pull up this picture? It's probably, I think, the third one in. That one with her leg all the way up there. Yeah. Can you perhaps full screen that? Maybe push 4 when you get a chance. Because, or you don't even. Yeah. Okay. So you see it right behind me. Okay. Perfect. How have you always been that flexible?
Yes, actually, I danced as, a teenager and everything, so I had my splits back then. And even when I was not dancing at all and not even working out at all, I always practiced my splits just to make sure I never lost them. So I still have my splits today. 45 years old, I can still do splits.
Nice. So this is on the Jerry Springer Show.
Yes.
What year was this?
That was 2016.
2016.
Yeah.
And what's that? It's Fresh Meat at the Strip Club. And there's another one. I think it's like the next picture over that says I quit my corporate job. Was that the theme of the show?
Yeah, so they had actually reached out to me. At that time I had an Instagram account where I talked about my real life, and I was showing, here's me at my office job. Here's me quitting my office job, and then a couple of months later, here's me at the strip club. And one of the producers reached out to me and said, we'd like to do a segment about you. And they flew me to New York, and we went to the studios in Connecticut, and I danced on stage, and then Jerry interviewed me afterwards, and he said, well, now, I also used to be a lawyer. Does that mean I could be a stripper? The crowd said, Jerry.
Oh, man, I grew up watching that show. Nice.
He was very nice. I've heard that maybe he had some problematic things, but in my interaction with him, he was very nice to me.
Wow. Okay. So positive experiences on the Jerry Springer Show. And you were recruited. Fascinating. Nice. What was that like being on that show? How'd the crowd take it? The crowd loved it? Was it just
great.
Like on TV?
Yeah, crowd loved it. I think, personally, when I watched the full clip, I'm very embarrassed because my dancing was not very good. That was when I was just starting to strip, so I had some tricks, but I didn't really have a good command of the audience, I would say. So I don't like watching myself dance on there, but, hey, I flashed my boobs. Obviously, they blurred it out on TV.
Did they give you Jerry beads?
Yes, absolutely. I still have those at home.
Okay. Thank you for all of this insight. This is one of my favorite interviews I've ever done. I have a question.
Yes.
I had I don't know proper term, a cousin-in-law that was a stripper, and I noticed when she decided to stop. This was pre-OnlyFans though. When she decided to stop stripping, she was like, "All right, I'm ready to stop." But she did it since she was young. So when she was ready to get back into the workforce, she had 0 credentials other than being a stripper. So and she was kind of hesitant on putting that out there. So what's the plan, man, for you in terms of just in life? Do you think you'll be able to retire doing this? Retire early, perhaps? Would you like to move on to something else? Do you ever have days you want to quit?
Of course.
There's a lot of questions.
Well, I think, like I said, I'm 45 years old. I'm fortunate that I look young, and so I think I could still continue doing this work and looking relatively young for some years. I think there is also a market, especially on OnlyFans, for content of older creators. So I think even if I gray and I look older, there would still be a market for that if I wanted to still do it. I think more likely is that I would burn out or that I would get bored with it. But I don't see that there would be an end sight for OnlyFans. For stripping, I think at a certain time you might have trouble getting hired by a club, even though I do think there are customers who would be interested in an older woman who's stripping just because they want to speak to somebody who has some life experience, who has maybe a little closer to their age. But what I would say, to somebody like your cousin-in-law, OnlyFans is not a sex job. Stripping is not a dance job. They are marketing and sales jobs. And so you can translate that, if you're smart about how you spin it, to selling cars or selling houses or, working marketing at a company that would be open-minded enough to buy somebody whose only experience is doing adult entertainment and hasn't had a traditional corporate job.
Do you ever have days where you just want to quit? I mean, you're just like, fuck this. I don't know. You're just over it,
I don't have days when I want to quit altogether. Certainly have days when I'm burnt out and I don't feel like doing stuff, especially when, for instance, one of your highest earning social media accounts gets shut down, or I had a lot of problems with, there's a lot of catfish that use my face. So every time I find one of those, that's always disappointing. And then you got to try to report them and get it taken down. It's a little bit of a pain in the neck. So there are certainly some frustrations that come along with the job, and days when you want to, quit. No, I don't want to quit. I just need to maybe take a break and do something else for a couple hours and then come back to it. I don't like to ever take longer breaks than a day because you will lose your momentum. If you're not posting on those social media accounts, they will lose their momentum in the algorithm. So I like to just always keep going. Any creator who I know who's taken a break of 3 weeks or a month or something like that, when they come back, it's like trying to start the car from zero again versus just cruising.
Whoa. I had zero idea that it was as much marketing as you make it out to be.
Yeah.
Okay. I love how you laid it out that, like, if you think you're just going to take a picture of boobs and just get $1 million, then it's not that.
If it was that easy, then wouldn't there be a lot more people making tons of money? There are a lot of people that are on OnlyFans that make very little money. I think I read somewhere that the median monthly income is like $150 or something, which means there are a lot of people like me making their living. There's a few people making zillions, and then there's a lot of people making $0 to $150, right?
Whoa. Ideally, what's the plan for you? Would you like to retire early, or just you're doing what you love? Prince once said, if you're doing what you love, you ain't working at all. So so how you feel about it all?
I'm not sure. I've taken many zigs and zags in my career over the years, and I just I'm fortunate that I'm financially stable and I'm comfortable enough to be able to just say, I'll see what comes next. I understand that some people aren't, and they need to know where their next paycheck is coming from. So I'm in a very, very fortunate position to be like that. And so I'll just see what comes next. I'm going to ride this OnlyFans and stripping thing until the wheels fall off, probably, or like I said, until I get really bored with it, and maybe something else will come along. I've been doing vanilla acting lately. That's been a really fun thing for me to explore. I don't ever delude myself into thinking that would be a full-time income, but.
Wait, let's talk about what do you mean by vanilla acting? Did you just call it? Is it just acting? But
Yes.
you call it vanilla because it's not, because we're not naked.
Non-adult, right.
Vanilla acting. Oh, because otherwise, I guess in the industry, if you mention acting,
right,
the first thing that might come to mind is porn.
Correct. Yes.
I had no idea. Okay, so we are officially vanilla actors. Alana, thank you so much. I appreciate you. Anything coming up that you want to plug, or what you got going on, or?
No, I mean, as we discussed before we taped this, I wasn't really wanting to promote my stage name for OnlyFans or anything, because this is my first time using my government name to talk about adult entertainment. So, I know eventually the two will mix one day. But if anybody wants to find, my vanilla personality, you can go to alananguyen.com. You'll see my LinkedIn, my email address, all my stuff if you want to get in touch with me for anything. But other than that, you'll just have to catch me where you catch me.
That's a beautiful thing. Alana, thank you so much. Ladies
you.
and gentlemen, Alana Nguyen, adult entertainer, a former recovering attorney, now adult entertainer. Thank you so much.
Thank
for coming.
you.
I learned so much. Anything you want to ask before we go? Shout out to Felicia for calling the show to the studio. Right here. Shout out to Felicia and to Studio 519 downtown for having us today. Thank you, Alana. Thank you so much for watching. Until next time. Have a good night, y'all. Hey.
Nice.
Well.
Soap up here.